Hi, I'm Brian Sparks, editor of Greenhouse Grower, and I am back for the second of our monthly conversations with Laura Barth, research coordinator at American Floral Endowment. Welcome, Laura.
Hey Brian, thanks for having me again.
Sure, sure. Good to see you again. I want to talk today. So I know AFE has a series of monthly webinars, part of the Grow Pro series, which is always a really interesting educational opportunity for this industry. What really stood out to me was in the month of February, the topics of two webinars, and I say two because there was one that was specially scheduled, um, was about technology in the greenhouse, which, is something that a lot of growers pay a lot of attention to, and kind of expands, I think, a little bit on what, at least I see AFE's traditional focus has been more on plant production, pest management, et cetera. So I wanted to ask you about, why that was a big focus for this month. And for those who are watching this, one of the webinars was about artificial intelligence. The other one was about return on investment in automation. So can you talk first about, why AFE chose to make technology a big focus in its February education?
So we look at our feedback from our webinar surveys,
Mhm.
and so automation and tech had been um, and AI were topics that had come up a couple times.
Okay.
And at the end of last year, I had gotten the opportunity to see Chris Rochelo, who was our speaker for our regular February session, and Aaron Phillips, who was our special session on AI.
Mhm.
I had seen them at a couple of conferences, and what really stood out to me was just how knowledgeable they were in those areas. Like I
Yeah.
came away from their talks kind of feeling like, if I was running a greenhouse, I could, take this information and I could use it. And that's the fact that I'm not a greenhouse owner, but the fact that I felt I could, felt pretty comfortable, um, with the knowledge I had gained from their presentations kind of made me think that they might be good to tap into as speakers. And then the second part of it was kind of because they just seem to be very well respected by other growers.
Mhm.
And I kind of, even though we focus a lot on AFE funded research or, you know, um, topics that kind of maybe are more research based, I like the
Yeah.
idea of having, somewhere growers speak to other growers because I think the conversations can be really good.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
and
Well,
so February kind of seemed like a good time to do it. I feel like a lot of people's production schedules are maybe already dialed in at this point, so it was kind of a good time to introduce some of those topics.
yeah. Well, and as we hear a lot, growers like to hear from their peers on things that they're trying, things that are working well. And I also think too, technology ties into production, which ties into the management side of running the business. So it all kind of works together. So I like the fact that you were able to, bring that into the discussion again, while, focusing on the fact that, these are growers talking about things that they're doing and why it's working for them. So that was really interesting. As we look ahead, AFE's got a lot more education coming up here. Are there any particular topics that you wanted to mention to the audience? I know that these are all part of a monthly series.
So we do have, I'm kind of excited about some of our pest management ones. Suzanne Wright Evans is speaking next month, and she is talking about like best practices for applying biological controls.
Okay.
We had a grower visit, and they had talked about how, you get the biologicals, but some of them might be dead, or maybe you applied them wrong, and so maybe they're not functioning as well as they could because they got damaged during the application process.
Mm,
So she's gonna help with that. Um, our next webinar or our April webinar is gonna be on, post-harvest
mhm.
techniques. So I think that's great. I'm always excited when we can do, cater to multiple sectors. So we have cut flower growers, we have, just all aspects of the industry covered. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
and then one thing I should have mentioned it in my previous answer, another reason why we went with, 2 tech-focused
Mhm.
webinars is because tech and automation is one of AFE's top research priorities.
Okay.
So the research priority is actually automation, technology, and AI leading to labor savings.
Okay.
And so, you know, labor continues to be one of the top issues. And I've seen more and more operations, move to automation or move to AI. and AI is just developing so rapidly. I think we're going to see it be used more and more, not just for creating SOPs like in our webinar, but also, pest and disease monitoring, nutrient monitoring. AFE is actually funding a research project using AI to diagnose nutrient status.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we'll definitely see more AI research, probably more AI webinars and stuff in the future too.
Yeah, well, and when you talk about something like AI or just really even automation in general, one of the big questions too is, if you're a grower of, growers of various sizes are all looking at this, and some of the biggest operations might, I don't want to say easier, but they might, have more access to new automation tools, whereas small growers are looking at how, we need to, manage labor effectively as well. How can we, focus on automation and make it work best for us, while not having to make, the same size of the investment. So the fact that AFE is focusing on that from a broad perspective is really interesting.
Yeah, and just some of my own, just seeing how automation was used at some of these grower tours I did or talking with Chris. I think a lot of growers already know this, but I hadn't necessarily considered that the automation can be used to improve people's jobs and the quality of
Mhm.
the workplace. And so if you're removing some of those non-value added, tedious jobs, um, it frees people up to do other work and it actually makes their job satisfaction go up.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those watching this, you can go to the American Floral Downs website and find a schedule of all of their upcoming webinar events and other educational opportunities for the industry. Laura, thanks again for taking the time today to connect and looking forward to our next conversation.
Yes, thank you. This was great. Looking forward to it.